Hey guys, this is Megan with Left in Knots, and today I'm going to be showing you my crochet water balloon pattern. I know that sounds kind of funny, but I'm going to show you how they work. They're really cool. Last year, Yarnspirations came out with Bernat Blanket Brights, and that's when I wrote the pattern. And they came out with all these awesome bright colors of their classic Bernat Blanket yarn. And they had it in the big skeins, and it was harder to find, but they did make it in the small skeins. But now this year, I'm really excited because they've come out with these Bernat Blanket stripes, and they're kind of a, I can't say copycat because I think they were one of the first companies to do the cake yarn, but it's kind of a play on the Karen cakes and all the other cake type yarn that's so popular right now, except it's made out of the bulky Bernat Blanket yarn. And I love this for my water balloons because, I mean, it's just fun to make them in bright colors. And now you don't need to buy a ton of different skeins of yarn to make a fun, colorful set of water balloons. You can use one cake of this Bernat Blanket stripes, or maybe two if you wanted some other colors. It comes in a lot of different colors. But yeah, so you can either section out the yarn so that you do solid colors. You know, you can roll separate balls of each color, or you can just go with it and let the striping take place where it does. But either way, you're gonna end up with these awesome, bright, fun water balloons. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how these work because it's awesome. And it's a great waste reducer, a great time saver. You don't need to you don't need to spend time filling water balloons. You don't need to spend time picking up all the scraps. Really eco-friendly, which I love. And latex-free if any latex allergies are a concern. And I've been asked about getting hit with these. My husband and I did throw them at each other, you know, for testing purposes. And honestly, I think they hurt less than getting hit with an actual water balloon. Because if you get hit with a water balloon and it doesn't pop, it kind of hurts. So anyway, on to the pattern. Okay, so here I've got my blanket yarn. I need a 9mm crochet hook. I use the Clover More crochet hooks, love them. I am not endorsed by them. I love them, I won't use anything else. The way I originally wrote the pattern, I indicated to start with a magic circle, but since I made a few more of these lately, I've found it easier actually to begin with a chain 3. So I'm going to change the pattern to starting with a chain 3 because this yarn is so textured that it's actually hard to pull the string of the magic circle. There's a lot of friction and sometimes it can break. So you can start whichever way you want, but I'm officially recommending a chain 3 for starting for my purposes. You chain 3. And then you're going to work 8 double crochets back into the very first chain, so the third chain away from your hook. So double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I am left-handed, as I'm sure you can tell. If you've seen my other videos before, I've mentioned that as well. If you haven't, you can check them out on YouTube or on my website, leftinknots.com. If you're right-handed, I have been told that sometimes watching the videos in a mirror can sometimes help if looking at a left-handed crocheter is a little too confusing. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first stitch of my round. And then I'm going to chain 2. So normally the benefit of starting with a magic circle is that you don't get any kind of gap up here. But like I said, for this project, that tiny gap doesn't really matter. This is how it looks with a magic circle. If that gap bothers you, you can sure start with a magic circle. But just be aware you want to pull your magic loop really slowly. Otherwise your yarn might snap just because of that tension. So that was round 1. Round 2, I'm going to chain 2. My chain stitches do not count as a stitch in this pattern, so I'm going to go ahead and work 2 double crochets in this very first stitch, the same stitch that I slip stitched into, and then 2 double crochets in each stitch around. Sometimes this is also known as a double crochet increase when you're working 2 stitches into one stitch from the previous row or round. Tension is not terribly important for this project. I do use a semi-tight tension just to make sure there aren't any big huge gaps in my stitches. But I mean, as long as these fit in your hand when you throw them, that's all that really matters. Okay, so now I've got 16 stitches around because I worked 2 stitches into each of the 8 stitches from round 1. Now the next 2 rounds, I'm just going to start with a chain 2 and crochet 16 stitches around for rounds 3 and 4. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how we start decreasing. Okay, so now here I am at the end of round 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the end of each round, we are attaching, just like we did before, with a slip stitch to the first stitch of that round, and then chaining 2. And again, those chain stitches do not count as a stitch. Now we're going to do a round of double crochet 2 together, or sometimes it's also called a double crochet decrease, where I'm basically turning these 2 stitches into 1. So what that looks like is we yarn over, insert into this first stitch, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. Now with these 2 loops on the hook, you yarn over, go into your next stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop. Now you've got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 3. And that is a double crochet 2 together, or double crochet decrease. And so you're going to do that around. So remember, we had 16 stitches worked around. We started with 8, we increased to 16, and now we're decreasing back to 8 again. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Same thing, attach with a slip stitch, chain 2, and now I'm going to go around and decrease one more time again. So I'm going to double crochet 2 together all the way around again, so our 8 stitches are going to turn into 4. 1, 2, 3. At this point your hole is getting kind of small to put your fingers in there. So you have to get a little creative with how you hold it. At this point, if your balloon is not right side out, you're going to want to make sure that it is, because now we're already getting ready to close it up. So I slip stitch here, and my very last round for this balloon, I'm going to chain 1, because now we're doing single crochet stitches, and I'm going to work 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch around for a total of 8 stitches. I use Bernat Blanket yarn for these water balloons because it is a chenille-like yarn and it's actually really absorbent. One of the questions when I first released this pattern that I got asked the most is, how do you fill them? And you don't. And that's part of the beauty of it. You don't have to spend time filling them. You just soak them in a bucket of water and then they are wet and you throw them and they splash. And then if they get dirty, you can wash them, or if they're still clean, you can use them again and reuse them over and over again. So now you can see those 8 single crochets. I slip stitched back the first stitch of my round again, and now I'm actually ready to cut my yarn and tie it off. Pull that tight. We'll weave in that end, but after one more thing. Now, just to make it nice and finished looking, to get that cute balloon shape, I take a small length of yarn and I actually tie it where the normal knot in the balloon would be. So just a few inches, enough so that you have tails to weave in around that little knotted part there. Make sure you like where it is and then pull it tight. Knot it one more time. And now we'll weave in our ends. Another question that I was asked a lot is whether these hurt when they're thrown. You know, I always advise if children are playing with these, I mean, certainly monitor them and make sure that they're playing nice. And if the balloons get dirty, make sure that, you know, there's nothing that they're dirty with that could hurt anyone. But as long as the kids are being nice, I think they're no different than what you would feel from a regular water balloon. Maybe even a little bit less. So I have a 2-year-old, so she can't be too scary with them yet, but older kids, just make sure they know to play nice. I think these would also be really fun in swimming pools. I've had people tell me they make them for like Boy Scout and Girl Scout events, like camping trips, and that sounds really fun. And I've also heard several success stories about selling these at summer craft fairs and just on Facebook groups. If you sell your work or are interested in it, this is a really fast pattern that you could make quickly for selling. You do want to make sure that you weave your ends in pretty well. These obviously get used and manipulated a lot. And there you go. So now stick around because I'm going to show you how these work. But this is how you crochet a water balloon with Bernat Blanket yarn. Bernat baby blanket yarn works. The big balls work. This new stripes yarn will work beautifully. So get to work and have some fun this summer. You can check out more of my patterns. They're all free on my blog, www.leftandknots.com. And I've got a few more video tutorials on there as well.